Boruto 2 Blue Vortex is only 5 chapters into the story and it's already ending? No, you heard me right. This isn't a theory video, so before you give into that urge to start typing down below and commenting and insulting and etc., allow me to explain. With Boruto 2 Blue Vortex Volume 1 now being released in Japan, it's led to people bringing up an old quote by Ikemoto, the guy who illustrates the Boruto story based off of the writing drafts that are given to him way back in 2019, where he stated he wanted to end the story of Boruto within 30 volumes in order to keep the Naruto franchise at 100 volumes total. Ever since then, every few months I still get comments on videos or DMs by people asking me about this 100 volume number, and with the first volume of Boruto's time skip finally out, I wanted to weigh in on this topic and give both some clarity to what was actually said, since we live in an era where people will put text on a picture and people pass off as fact without any type of context given, and I wanted to give my honest thoughts on the whole situation. So what were Ikemoto's words exactly? Well, let's look at the words in full context and not cherry pick. In Ikemoto's 2019 Manga Plus interview, he said, quote, "My utmost priority is to complete the entire story for Boruto. That said, I do not want the story to sprawl out too much, as the original Naruto series has a whopping 72 volumes. I am hoping to complete the story within 30 volumes to keep the entire saga within 100 volumes altogether," end quote. So just by going by the quote itself, if you're doing the numbers in your head, you already know that that means that Boruto would have to have 28 volumes, but it would actually be 27 volumes if you want to keep it under 100 total for the Naruto franchise. Yes, Naruto's manga had 72 volumes, but it's important to remember that Naruto series creator Masashi Kishimoto continued the Naruto story in 2015 with one final volume called Naruto Gaiden, the 7th Hokage and the Scarlet Spring, drawn by Kishimoto himself with no assistance at the time, and these were chapters adapted into Boruto's anime as the Shin Uchiha arc. So that would mean it's actually 27 volumes for Boruto's story to be complete for the Naruto franchise to end at 100 volumes, which in of itself would be poetic, because Ikemoto has said he, like myself, prefers Naruto Part 1 over Part 2, and Naruto Part 1 was 27 volumes in length. Unfortunately, this would also mean that Boruto 2 Blue Vortex would theoretically end with 7 volumes, and that's where I think there's something we have to circle back to. And what I'm about to share with you is exactly why I strongly believe we aren't ending the story within 100 volumes of the Naruto franchise. Ikemoto was self-aware enough to say that he was hoping to complete the story within 30 volumes. Keyword hoping. And being honest with you, had Ukyo Kodachi, the original writer who Kishimoto handpicked to write the Boruto manga, had Kodachi remained the writer of the story, I honestly could have seen that, because Kodachi, in terms of pacing, he took what I called a bullet point approach, and he didn't fill in a lot of gaps. He just gave you the main story beats and kept it moving, because he had the luxury of also being the anime's lead writer and having a team of writers who answered directly to him for the anime between 2017 and 2021. So anything he didn't want to cover in the manga, he could just go further in depth and have the anime do it, which is exactly what he did. However, as Boruto fans saw the Code of Saw arc, you saw Kishimoto's not afraid to slow down the pacing for 18 months to build up a climax and the ending for Part 1, while simultaneously setting up the conflict for the time skip, setting the stage for it to explode, which is currently happening. Kawaki got the Karma Seal again, Code got his limiters removed, Naruto got sealed away, Boruto is wanted for being accused of killing Naruto, and now the Shinji are mobile and hunting down Boruto and Kawaki and other targets, including Naruto himself. Ikemoto said he hoped to keep it within 100 volumes, and again, had Kodachi been writing, I would have bought into that. But between Kishimoto's aspect and the fact that we have a rebrand for Part 2, I don't see Shueisha filing trademarks for a sequel series that is only going to be around for 7 volumes if you stick to that hard number of 100 total volumes in the Naruto franchise's core story. From a business perspective, that doesn't make as much sense. You're wasting an IP unless Part 1 was already short. Which, if that happens, you pull a JoJo where parts 1 and 2 are combined, only 11 volumes in length. Just for a perspective from a storytelling angle, we would have 6 volumes to address all of the open-ended subplot. Not anything else that might get thrown to us as a zinger. This is all open-ended stuff the story still has not actually covered. Amato's Karma Seal on Kawaki still hasn't been used based off what we've seen. Delta has not gotten the Karma Seal yet, again, as of what we've seen. The foreshadowing foreshadowing of another potential Otsutsuki that comes from that karma. Kawaki asks, will this make Delta into an Otsutsuki if I give her Akabe's DNA? And Amato said he can't be certain in chapter 75. Each of the Shinju have targets from Sarada to Konohamaru to Naruto to Ada that they all want to hunt down. Code is still out there in the wind right now unaddressed. Kashin Koji's involvement with Boruto still needs to be addressed as well. Kashin Koji selling the score with Amato verbally or physically needs to be paid off as well. The battles with the 4 new Shinju, they have to occur too. Kawaki has to destroy the village. Boruto versus Kawaki needs to occur. Naruto needs to be unsealed. Sasuke and the others turned into a tree need to be unleashed. A battle with Code still has to occur. Shibai Otsutsuki wasn't name dropped for no reason. That would be like not paying off the mention of the Sage of Six Paths we had earlier in Naruto's manga and just ending Naruto's manga without actually seeing the Sage of Six Paths. The connection between Tsunade and Sakura's Byakugo seal and the Karma seal that hasn't been paid off either. Himawari's hidden power that Damon sensed, we haven't seen a glimpse of it yet, and you still have to reverse the omnipotent Shinjutsu unless Ikemoto convinces Kishimoto to pull a JoJo where the story ends on a bittersweet ending, where it's not all sunshine and rainbows, where the good guys ride off into the sunset together and nobody dies at the end. If you're familiar with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you're very familiar with which part of JoJo I'm referring to. 6 volumes is what remains right now. Basically 23 chapters to run through all the material that we just went over, which we're already 1 chapter into volume 2, which that sounds like a lot when you first think about it until you realize how long fights in Boruto tend to be, and there are a lot of fights still left. Oftentimes they follow a pattern. They run for 3 to 6 chapters depending on if it's a short fight like Boruto versus Shojoji, or if it's a larger scale fight like Naruto and Sasuke versus Ishiki. Just look at Boruto versus Code in Boruto 2 Blue Vortex. That literally comprises of around half of volume 1 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex volume 1. He shows up at the end of the first chapter, then he and Code have an extended stare down, and Boruto beats the fodder Ten Tails claw grimes around him in the next chapter. Boruto defeats Code in the next chapter, and the resolution chapter sees the reveal of the Shinju. However, let me be very clear. I'm not one of these people who thinks that Boruto is going to run for 14 years like Naruto, and respectfully, I think if you believe that, you are being delusional or you're unaware of the manga industry itself. Before Kishimoto was even stated to have taken back over the original drafts of Boruto's story, I expected Boruto's whole story to end closer to 8 years, just because of the pacing that the first 53 chapters had, being as fast as they were, minus the versus Momoshiki arc, which was based off of a movie that Masashi Kishimoto wrote himself. However, I don't think it's crazy to say that Boruto ends up with a higher number than Full Metal Alchemist, which was a monthly manga that ran for 9 years and 27 volumes, and Attack on Titan, which ran for 11 years and 31 volumes. If I were a betting man and I had a $1 betting limit, given what we have left and assuming that there are no more subplots being created, I could see Boruto ending in that 31 to 32 volume number range, which would obviously be less than 20 for Boruto Part 1 and only 11 total volumes, or maybe 12 if it gets to 32. Boruto Part 1 took 7.5 years to get through. 20 volumes, 7.5 years. Another 3 years would be roughly the amount that I'm seeing and end the story in the 11th year of its serialization, which I do strongly believe is important. Ikemoto is not a spring chicken. I don't think people realize that. Ikemoto right now is 47 years old. You might say, hey, that's still young. However, he's been in the manga industry for decades. There's a reason why Togashi, the Yu Yu Hakusho, and Hunter x Hunter mangaka praises his work in the past, and why Kishimoto was so fast to scoop up Ikemoto as an assistant back in 1999. He literally stole him from another mangaka. If you've read any of Ikemoto's one-shot, you can see more of his art style that is strictly his own, and not a blend of the Kishimoto aspect fused with his own that you see in Boruto. He's been drawing Naruto content for 22 years now, 14 as Ikemoto's lead assistant, and 8 years as the main artist of Boruto, as this is the 8th year of Boruto's serialization for Ikemoto and his staff of 3 assistants. Once we hit March, it will be 8 years. Another 3 years drawing Boruto would be 25 years of drawing only Naruto content, which That will put him at the age of 50 years old. That's a big number. Ikemoto is going to want to draw his own series at some point. Before Kishimoto scooped him up, he was going to be an assistant for a gag manga, and after that ended, he was supposed to get a one-shot to run in Weekly Shonen Jump, similar to how One Piece mangaka Eiichiro Oda was the assistant for Nobuhiro Iwatsuki, the Rurouni Kenshin mangaka, also my favorite manga series of all time. Once Oda put the work in and eventually got One Piece picked up, he left Kenshin as an assistant and he did his own series. The life of a mangaka, particularly those who draw for this long, it is hard. You get wrist issues like Tite Kubo, who towards the end of Bleach was drawing with no cartilage in his wrist. You get back issues and lung issues like Masashi Kishimoto had. You get other elements that are not uncommon. You have some people who they push through it. They are monsters. Like Rumiko Takashi, who is in her late 60s, also one of my favorite mangaka of all time, drawing her 7th hit series. But she also got started pumping out hit series after hit series a lot younger. By the time she drew Inuyasha, what she's probably most famous for, that was her 5th series that she had done that was a hit, and she was 39 years old when she did that. She had youth on her side. For a monthly manga running 21 volumes and counting at this point is already a big deal. Full Metal Alchemist ran for 27 volumes, and Boruto is catching up on that. Attack on Titan ran for 31 volumes. I don't think Boruto becomes something like Black Butler, which is a manga that is 33 volumes and counting, because the woman who draws Black Butler, she's in her late 30s, just like Takahashi was when she started hitting her stride. Is Boruto's manga ending soon? Depending on how you define soon. If by soon you mean within the next 3 to 5 years, absolutely likely. If by soon you mean the whole story wraps up in 6 volumes, so in under 2 years, then I disagree just based off of how much we have left story-wise. That's going to be up there with that whole is Boruto 80% filler talking point that people have some information that gets omitted, which you can see the real percentage number for Boruto's filler to canon ratio by clicking this link on the screen.